Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today we are here on the Diaspora to Home series to speak with a valuer and appraiser all about how you can actually value your properties, how you can negotiate your properties and what to look out for. So make sure you stay tuned, make sure you continue to like, subscribe, if you haven't done already, comment, share, do all of the above and stay tuned. And welcome back. Today I'm excited because we are speaking to one of the most renowned valuers. I mean, I go across Ghana and I speak to people and I'd be like, you know, who do I need? And they say, you need a valuer. I'd be like, hey, which valuer? They say, ABBA. This is the ABBA. This is the ABBA that everybody mentions from BDZ Properties, who specialize in appraising, valuations, real estate, brokerage, management, all of the above, right? Which is impressive. And today we're going to be walking through a little bit about how you value properties and the importance of valuations and making sure you pay the right price for what you see. So Abba, thank you so much for joining me today.
Is mine, Lorraine.
Thank you. Just tell us a little bit more about yourself. I know you're a lecturer as well.
Yes,
you teach. Tell us more about who you are.
So I'm Abba, obviously. So I'm the CEO of a real estate company where we do valuation of properties, we do property management, we do brokerage and all of that. Yes, so essentially you said it all. I don't know what to...
Amazing. And you are probably one of the most renowned. So
if you say so.
It's true. It's true.
It is what it is.
So the properties you manage, the properties you value, which areas are they?
It cuts across, but mostly the prime areas. So we have East Legon, we have Laboni, we have Airport Hills, we have Osu.
Okay.
So it cuts across.
Okay. Yeah. So Abba, where are we today and what are we come to do today?
So we are here in East Legon. This is one of the properties that I manage. This is 3 units of 4-bedroom houses being used as office spaces. Okay. So one is a law firm, one is an NGO, and one is vacant now, which we've listed.
Amazing.
Yeah, so anybody who is interested,
there you go. BDZ. Yes. So can you take us through? Can we see?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
So when it comes to the properties you manage, you do both rental and you also do properties for sale as well?
Yes, I do. Okay. I do rental, I do sale.
Okay, okay. And with the valuing side, that's what I'm really interested in because, you know, in Ghana, I hear a lot that people just come up with their own prices for things.
You don't know the half of it. It's crazy. Sometimes I hear property prices and I'm like, what informs your price?
Right.
I mean, but sometimes you hear all kinds of crazy stories. My foreman says it will cost X.
Hey, the foreman!
I'm telling you.
Do you know what? A funny thing I heard the other day, it's got nothing to do with this, but the whole foreman thing. You see, I saw a funny meme that said, you know when you go into a bank or you go into a company and you see a foreman, you see the security guard, he's like the deputy manager.
I know, right?
It's like they know everything.
There's a lot of power vested in them.
I'm telling you.
It feels like it's a bank manager.
It's so funny.
You know?
So the foreman thing, I understand. It's like he's it should be worth this amount.
And if you're ready to sell your house, it could even command X amount of money, and then that is what they have at the back of their mind. So if you do an evaluation report for them, then they contest it.
Oh wow!
They have their own idea of the value of the property.
Okay.
So it's unfortunate, but
okay. So when it comes to valuing a property for sale, what key things do you look out for?
So look at location. You know what's the real estate mantra? Location. Yeah. So the location will determine the value of the land, right? Okay. For instance, a plot of land in East Legon is less expensive than a plot of land in, let's say, Laboni or elsewhere, cantonments. So yes, these are some of the things we look out for: the location of the property, which will determine the value of the land. Okay. We look at cost of construction. Okay. We look at the neighborhood. Okay. We look at livable space, the size of the rooms. Okay. All of that. Okay. We look at land size.
Okay. All of that. So we're here at one of the properties now. So can you just show us how you would go about valuing something maybe for rent then?
Okay, so when it comes to valuation, right, most of the work is done behind the scenes. Okay. So we go to the site, of course, we do an inspection first, and then we take the measurements of, the space. Yeah. everywhere. We take, internal dimensions
Okay.
and all of that. Then we look out for the constructional details,
Okay.
the roof.
Yeah.
We look at the sliding doors.
Okay.
Doors, is it sliding? Is it louver?
Okay.
We look at the roof, the
Okay.
kind of roof. We look at the fixtures and fittings, and all of that. So once we take those details,
Yeah.
we go back
Okay.
and then we use the methods that we use for valuation,
Yeah.
to determine the value.
Okay. Can we have a look?
Yeah, of course, sure. Come with me.
So this is a commercial property.
This is a commercial property.
Okay. So typically with commercial, what's the difference? I mean, so office spaces is being converted primarily for a commercial business. So typically, what would the amenities be that you'll find in a commercial property like this?
So and this particular building was built as a residential property.
Okay.
And that is what is happening around East Legon now. East Legon originally was a residential area, but now you realize that a lot of people are turning their properties into commercial property. And so this is a typical example.
Okay.
So originally, this is supposed to be like the hall, right?
Yeah.
Hall and bedroom.
Yeah.
And then we have one room here, we have the kitchen, and all of that. But this place has been turned to the reception.
Yeah.
And then you have the workstations over there, where the workers will be.
Okay.
And then
Maybe those. Oh, okay.
yeah, the business washroom. And then we have the kitchenette here to serve the workers.
No. Okay.
Okay. So
And I'm sure the boss's office and meeting rooms where
yeah, all up there. And then there's one room here. Yeah. So originally this was supposed to be the hall, and then we have one room here. We have the kitchen, but it has been turned into a reception area. And then of course we have the living area that has been turned into a place for workstations for the workers. Yeah. And then we have the kitchen here, which still serves the purpose as a kitchenette for the workers. Okay. And then we have one room here, which is an office space.
Okay. And I'm sure the boss will sit upstairs.
The boss is upstairs. With a big office and
that's
all
what the
of that.
bosses always do.
Somebody said you know the boss in an institution by the size of the office.
That is it.
Yeah.
That is it. So typically, can you tell us what something like this would go for rent-wise?
So currently on the market, it's going for $1,200 a month.
Okay. Yeah. And that's
what we are listing it for.
It's listed for $1,200 a month, and this is space for workers. We've got a space for the boss, meeting rooms, the kitchenette, and other space for maybe an admin or something like that here as well.
And each unit has its own meter, water connection, and all of that. Reservoir, each unit has its own water reservoir. So the only space that is shared is a common area, so there's common area maintenance, for security. Of course, it is built to each individual office. That's a meter something.
Amazing. Okay. So Abba, we've checked out the property, right? Now let's go back to basics a little bit, right? But before we do that, typically for a place like this, what kind of businesses will come and rent out a place like this?
Oh, pretty much all kinds of businesses. Like I told you, this unit is occupied by a law firm. The first one is occupied by an NGO. So pretty much all businesses which do not do display. For instance, for a pharmacy, you can't do behavior. But other than that, all businesses. You don't discriminate.
I like that. And how can people find out about the properties that are available? Because a lot of people come to me, they even say, "Oh, can you help me find a residential property?" But if people are looking for a commercial property for office space, where can they find office space? Where can they find commercial property?
Yeah, so on my website, www.bdzproperties.com, I have it listed there, and I have it listed on other paid platforms as well.
So Abba, what kind of properties do you do? So is it just residential, or I know a lot of people come to me and they'll be like, "Oh, can you help me to find a shop, or can you help me to find a restaurant space, for example?" Do you only do in the office space, or do you do with others?
Oh, I do pretty much all properties. So I do residential, I do commercial, retail, as in shops, not so much. But I do restaurants, I do warehouses. All kinds of properties.
Amazing. So let's go back to basics a little bit. So when it comes to a lot of people contact me, follow me, watch me because of they're looking for opportunities to invest in Ghana, especially from the diaspora perspective. Why would you say Ghana is a great place to invest right now?
Well, so you know that the population is growing. There'll always be a demand for housing, right? And so for a place like Ghana, first of all, we are one of the 3 top nations with the highest yield.
Okay. I hear that often.
Yeah, one of the 3 top countries with the highest yield. So that is a plus. So when you invest in property here, you know you're not going to lose.
Can't go wrong.
Right?
Yeah.
And the property market in Ghana also is booming, and there's a lot of potential in the sense that we all know the last time I saw on a flyer, or is it on somebody's wall, that said that buy land, we are not making anymore.
Yeah.
So with the limited land that we have, population keeps increasing, and there's a demand for housing.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? So obviously, the property markets will get better.
Okay. And right now, is it a buyer's market or is it a renter's market? Is it a seller's market? What's booming
Usually,
right
what I say, Lorraine, is that it depends on where you're standing, right? You know that currently statistics say, or there's a report that Ghana has a 2 million housing deficit. Okay. So I always say that I do luxury properties, and I realize that even with a deficit, there are certain properties in the prime areas, upscale areas that are empty.
Vacant.
They are vacant. What does that tell you? It means that the need
It's in the affordable
is
space.
in the affordable space. So if you come to the upscale market, because there are lots of voids, there are vacant properties, then it becomes a buyer's market.
Yes.
But if you come to the middle income bracket or the affordable space, a lot of people are demanding. You know, I have a number of billboards around, and sometimes I get calls. You know, people asking for, you know,
Chamber and
hall, self-contained. You know, so there's the need.
It's there
over there. The need is there.
Yeah.
So there, you know, if you have a property, it's a buyer's market.
So what you're saying essentially is that I tend to look at it as, and the conversation I have with people is like the dollar market versus the city market almost. So if you're buying in the city market for the city renter, you're more likely to win because there's the moment somebody moves out, somebody's always going to be there to move in. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I agree with that. But you see, now it's so surprising. Just last week, someone I know wanted like a 1-bedroom apartment for their ward who is in the UPSC. And so they wanted something around Medina, around Ogojo, you know, and I called somebody who I knew does those areas. And you'd be surprised. For a single room, what they call chamber and hall, somebody was asking for $400.
Huh?
Yes, Lorraine. Yes, $400. I'm like, how did we even get here?
So how do people price their prices?
That is $1 million question. I don't get it.
I remember you and I had a conversation once, and you said I can't remember exactly what it was, but something like people would stick to just that price even if their place goes empty for some time. Can you remind me what you said about that?
Yeah. For some people, and that really happens when there's a demand, you know, and so they will stick to the price because they know that eventually somebody will come and take it.
But what's the point of having the place empty and you're not going to lower your price? How are you going to make your money?
You know, the forces of demand and supply also kick in, and they come to a realization. And then they call you back. I remember there was a property owner who had a property for rent. He was asking for $1,800 a month, which I thought was too much. And so I told him that, look, this is too much. It's a bit above the market price. So if you beat it down a bit. I was like, but it's okay. Let it stay at that point. A dino, what do you speak? Let me remember the right words he used. A dino in the so let it remain on the market.
The house doesn't eat.
Exactly.
So let it remain on the market.
Let it remain on the market. And so it was there for a while. And then I think that at a point, he really needed money. So he called back. You see, now, even if somebody brings $1,200,
I'll take it.
So sometimes the forces of demand and supply will force them to be their price down.
Can we talk then about negotiation? Because I want to talk about negotiation from 2 stands. One, if you are going to buy a property, and one of you come to rent a property, right? So if first-time buyers are coming from the diaspora and they come to buy a property first, right?
As an
investment, right? How can they go about negotiating? I mean, there's a funny thing out there that especially us with British accents, we always like be cheated, right? So how can somebody like me or somebody watching not be cheated? What things can they negotiate to make sure it's a worthwhile investment for them?
Well, I keep saying that, some people say negotiation is an art. Others say negotiation is a science. But I say negotiation is both an art and a science. It's an art because you need certain skills. You need good communication skills. Because how you communicate can let you win on the negotiation table, over somebody else. You need emotional intelligence so that if they mention a price, you're like, get the hell out of here, I'm not paying this money. So you need certain skills. And then it's a science because, scientists and psychologists have interpreted, body language. If somebody behaves in a certain way or gives a particular response, you know where they are going with that, and so you can follow suit, all kinds of things. So I say it is both an art and a science. But essentially, if you're negotiating for a property, what you should look out for is, first of all, have a fair idea, right, of property prices in the area. So what's your location? Where do you want to acquire your property, your investment property? Is it East Legon? Is it Medina? Is it Laboni? Wherever it is, have a fair idea of the going rates, of property prices in the area. And so with that, you can use it as a benchmark. Right. So you know that if you're looking for a regular 4-bedroom house, for instance, or a 2-bedroom apartment to use as an Airbnb, you know that it should be within this range, and so you're not, it's not overpriced. And you also have to get a valuer. I keep saying that people don't like using valuers in Ghana, but it is essential, maybe because of the fees that they will pay. But you'll be surprised that what you will save if you use a valuer will be way more than what you will pay. If you don't. So use a valuer, get evaluation reports. Usually sellers wouldn't mind if you come to a property, say you have a valuer. And so you can use that as a bargaining chip.
In fact, that will even make you look more serious.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So you can use the valuation report as a bargaining. There was an instance like that. Somebody, was going to buy a property at Manette, and they needed to have a fair idea, of going rates. They contacted me. I went to do the valuation for them, and then she was able to beat down the price with the report.
There you go. So negotiation, you can negotiate having that valuation.
Yeah, that becomes a bargaining chip. And then there's a term we use. I'm a lecturer, so allow me to use some of the terms.
Please, educate us. Educate us.
We call it expanding the pie. So that creates a win-win for both sides. So what we mean by expanding the pie is come to a middle ground, sort of. So you can say, sometimes the landlord will say, or the property owner will say, look, this price is passing, so unfortunately I'm not going below that. Then you can try and negotiate with them. Okay, can you throw in some fixtures, some fittings, extra if there's no heater? Okay, then I'll need a heater. Can you provide that? Sometimes they weigh and they realize that, okay, it won't hurt to just throw in a heater, it won't hurt to put in some finishing, that kind of thing.
So on the rental side of things, what can someone who's going to rent somewhere, how can they negotiate?
Yeah, it's essentially the same. I think it works both ways for both sale and rental.
Okay. But then could you negotiate maybe on duration, or like how would you negotiate if I'm walking into a property and the landlord has said it's going to cost me $2,000? What other bargaining chips can I do to?
So with duration, it becomes dicey because mostly, the law says otherwise, but mostly landlords take a minimum of 1 year.
And the law is 6 months, isn't it?
It's supposed to be 6 months, yeah.
That's crazy. The law in Ghana says that. And this, not many people know this. The law in Ghana says that you cannot, by law, take more than 6 months rent in advance. But list for me how many people actually do that. The list will be as tall as this, so
some take as high as 2 years and all of that. But the point I'm trying to make is that with the duration, yes, because of the agreement that says, for instance, you're taking it for a minimum of 1 year, there's not much you can do about negotiating that in terms of price. But what most people do is that if there's a renovation or there's something to be done on the property, usually some of the tenants would say, okay, let me do it at my cost.
Yeah.
And then
you lower the price down or something.
No, you would add it to the number of my years. So we do the math. So if let's say it's $2,000 a month, right? So if I'm taking it for 1 year, that's going to be what? $24,000. Now, there's some renovation that needs to be done on the property to appreciate the increased value, and that will cost me, let's just say, $2,000. Then that would mean that I'll take it for 13 months instead of 12 months.
So you can negotiate on that.
Exactly, you can negotiate on that.
Makes sense. Okay. So in terms of typically we look at the dollar market, the city market. Where could people invest to actually get good yields, right? What would you say?
It all depends on the yield, the type of property, the demand, and all of that. For me, usually, people say prime areas. When they mention prime areas, but not really. Prime areas are supposed to be areas close to the city center where you have restaurants, where we have good amenities, roads, and all of that. But I always keep telling people, especially investors, that a prime area to an investor does not necessarily mean Laboni or Osu or Cantonment. No.
Okay.
So it depends on what you want, the type of investments that you want to go into. So I'm an investor. I want to do hostels, for instance. My prime area would be Medina, would be Ogojo, because that is closer to UPSA. It's closer to University of Ghana, Legon. I get the market for it. So for me personally, I think that you would have to reconsider the kind of investments you do. There's something, again, from the lecturer's point of view. There's something we call capitalization rate.
The what rate?
Capitalization rate.
Okay.
So when you work it out, it will give you the yield, an idea of the yield, and you realize that sometimes an investment in the upscale areas.
Okay, so can you tell me what that calculation is, like the capitalization rate?
So the capitalization rate, to a large extent, can be calculated. Can be equated to the yield. Okay. Except that with the capitalization rate, you calculate the the number of years. Okay. The income that will come in, the cash flow. Okay. You take out your periods of void.
Okay, so if you're buying imagine I'm your student in class. I'm back to school. I want to go back to school.
Where is school, right?
So I want to be schooled. Okay, so let's say we had a property that I was buying. It was round number $50,000.
Right.
How can I go about? What do I do now?
Okay, so for such a property, right? Depending on where it's situated, how much rent will it command? Okay. So you do your survey, you do your research, and then it gives you an idea of how much rent you're going to get.
Yeah.
Let's say for a 50,000 property, you're getting, let's just say, for the sake of this interview, that you're getting $1,000 a month. Okay, that's what you anticipate. Now, if you're looking at your income as $1,000 a month times 12 for the year, you get it wrong.
Let me bring my calculator out to make sure that we're getting these calculations down well. I want to be making sure I get this. Where's my calculator? Okay, right. So we're saying, so how do we look at it? So the $1,000 a month.
$1,000 a month times 12.
Okay, so the 12.
Ordinarily, that is the cash flow for the year.
Okay.
But you have it wrong, because if the property is going to stay on the market, you know that there may be periods of void when the tenants would occupy the space. There are property maintenance charges. We had to cover their bills, all of that that needs to be paid. So you take all of that out, and then you divide it by the value of the property. Now, that is equated to the yield, because the yield is calculated the same way. But in the case of the yield, you divide it by the cost of the property. Those are two different things.
Do you guys get that? I'm gonna make sure. I'm gonna make sure.
No, do you understand that?
Okay. I think I get it in the sense that. So firstly, I'm going to take my $1,000 per month. I'm going to maybe make some assumptions for the vacancy rate. So let's say, for example, in a year, maybe it will be occupied 10 months of that year.
Out of 12.
So now I'll take that, and then maybe there'll be some costs of maintenance. There'll be fixing, whatever it may be, right? And maybe so maybe I can assume that the 2 months worth might cover some of the maintenance. So that's $2,000 maybe,
Right.
let's say.
Right.
So
That leaves you with how much?
So that's the 8 months worth, 8,000.
Okay.
Right. So the 10 months income less the 2,000. Right. So I'm now left with 8,000.
Okay. Yes. So that's divided by the value of the property.
Okay. Yep. So I've got 0.16.
That's 50,000. So in this case, cost is different from value.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, price is different from value.
Yeah, I was going to say that actually, because at the point that I bought the property, it could have appreciated.
Exactly.
Okay.
And sometimes, a property, it could be valued at 50,000.
Yeah.
But the owner could sell it for 45,000.
Sure. Okay.
Maybe they're pressed for cash, all of that. So
you.
in this case, you need the actual value. That becomes the capitalization rate.
Okay, fine.
Okay. So in the case of yield, then it's a cost.
Okay.
So sometimes it's the same. It works out to be the same. Sometimes there's a variation.
Okay.
Okay. Do you get it?
And do you only do it on that year, or do you do it on
for the year? It's an annual thing.
Okay.
So what was back to our conversation that we're having? So to determine, you asked the question. You wanted to find out whether it's better to invest in a dollar market or a CD market. Okay. So when you do the capitalization rate, the calculation, you realize that the percentage you get sometimes for a place like Labone, the high-end areas, could be lower than the CD market.
Right. I say that to people a lot.
Yeah.
Because maybe the time it's vacant.
Exactly.
And whereas in the city market, you probably got continuous.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that is what it is. So before you go into an investment, you don't. I keep telling people that property investments should not be done out of passion or emotions. It has to make financial sense.
Interesting, indeed.
That is the most important thing to consider. Does it make financial sense? How's the cash flow going to be like?
And just to wrap up in terms of the whole kind of market and the whole investment space, we've spoken about the prime areas, the locations that you can do for what people consider, depending on where they're investing, like if it's from Medina, for example. We spoke a little bit about the city market. So it's great to hear that we shouldn't invest with your emotions. And normally, especially any type of investor who invests in any market, whether it's the financial markets, money markets, right, they're always told to also manage risks. So what risks do you think that people need to be conscious about when investing in property in Ghana?
Okay, well, there are certain risks to be considered, I believe, at the pre-acquisition stage and then a post-acquisition stage. For me, that's how I see it. So pre-acquisition, you know how land tenure in Ghana is. So make sure that you do your searches, make sure you use professionals, what else? Yeah, pretty much do your search to make sure to authenticate the ownership of the property, and then use professionals, use a lawyer. Most people don't like engaging lawyers because of fees that they pay. They don't like using valuers. They don't like using building inspectors. So use them. Because you want to maximize return.
Can you give me a range of the fees associated with each one? Maybe a lawyer. Is there a percentage for the price of the property?
Usually it's a percentage.
So roughly, can you give me a rough market range of a valuer, a house inspector, a lawyer on average? Just so if somebody's trying to figure out their budget for purchase, they need to know
I don't want to talk for the lawyers because I'm not a lawyer. Because I'm not a lawyer, I don't want to go down that road. But for even with evaluation, there's a GIS approved scale of fees. You know what GIS is? Ghana Institution of Surveyors. We all come under one umbrella. Let me quickly clarify that sometimes if I say I'm evaluation and estate survey, evaluate is the same
talk about this.
Evaluate is the same as evaluation and estate survey. When they hear surveyor,
that's different.
They're like, my land is here. Can you come and have a look at it, take the point? But
break it down for me.
That's not what I do.
But break it down for me because you told me this before as well. There are different types.
There are different types of surveyors. So we have the quantity surveyors. So they tell you how much a property would cost even before you build it. They do the bill of quantities. They would have studied building technology, at KNUST and all of that. Then they do 2 years training to become a member of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors. Then there's the land surveyors. They do geodetic engineering, all of that. I think there are some more courses that have been added. But since at the time, I was in the KNUST, that's what was being offered. So they will do that. then come out, do 2 years training, and then become a land surveyor. Then we talk about us, the valuers, valuation and estate surveyors. So we determine the cost of a building. Once it's been put up already, we determine the value. Did I say costs? We determine the value of the building. So we also do land economy, real estate, and then you come out to do 2 years training, and then you become a member. You are inducted to become a member of the Ghana Institution of Survey. Okay. So these are the three, but we are all under one umbrella body. Okay. GIS, Ghana Institution of Survey. Okay. So then there's the GIS approved scale of fees, which is a percentage. But to a large extent, included in the scale of fees, it's said that usually you can, price depending on the amount of work that you need to do. Every property is unique, and so the amount of work that is involved, in valuing the property, the time spent, and all of that. So it's not cast in stone.
It's not cast in stone, but give people a range. Are we talking about 1% of the property? Are we talking about 0.5%? Are we talking about 10%? Like, just roughly.
So it could be 0.5 to about 3%.
Okay.
Thereabouts.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for house inspectors, do you have a rough idea of?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, fine.
No clue.
Okay, because I think a lot of people always want to know they're buying something, but they fail to budget for these other things as well. So it's important when they look at a property. I always tell people to make sure they budget for about 5% more than the property value, so that they can cover off these additional costs as well. So Abba, thank you so much. For spending time with me today.
Finally.
I know. So let people know where they can find out more about yourself.
Yes, so find me on Instagram, Abamoa1, on Facebook, Abamoa, on LinkedIn, Abamoa, website www.bdzproperties.com, phone number 0244648880.
Amazing. Abba, thank you once again. And to everybody that's looking to get involved in the Ghana's real estate market, you've heard some really great gems here from Abba, who is the CEO of BDZ Properties, who has told us about pretty much everything that you need to know when it comes to the Ghana's real estate market. And if you're looking for commercial properties or residential properties, Abba is the woman to go to. And if you're looking to learn how to get involved in property, do check out my masterclasses, the Diaspora to Home program, to actually take you through that entire process.
And let me quickly add that you are doing amazing. You are doing amazing with your masterclasses.
Thank you so much. We need to have you on. Come and teach us about valuation.
No, just let me know ahead of time. I'll gladly do that.
We'll do that. Thank you once again. Thank you so much. It's all about educating people in the diaspora not to make the mistakes I've personally made. That's what I connect you to professionals like Abba, who is part of the GIS, part of all of these schemes that regulate and oversee the market as well, to make sure that you don't fall into the wrong hands. So thank you once again for watching. Make sure you stay tuned for my next videos. Make sure you comment, subscribe, like, and follow for more. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Hey guys, I do hope you found this video useful. Now, if you're interested in finding out more about how to purchase property in Ghana and generate some rental returns from it, then do check out the link below to my free online masterclass, which takes you through my 10-step process to help you to get on the property ladder in Ghana and generate some rental returns from it as well. So don't delay, just click on the link below and I will see you in class. Now, if you haven't done so far already, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Continue to like, follow, share, do all that good stuff, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.